You're not tired. You're not broken. You're just used to waiting. And it's ruining your progress. Every single day, people sit on potential. Not because they can't improve, but because they keep waiting to feel ready. If that sounds like you, this video is the shift you've needed. This isn't about feeling motivated. It's about doing the thing even when you don't want to. It's about taking action every day whether you're in the mood or not. No hype, no sugar coating. Just the honest truth about how change actually happens by showing up no matter what. If you're done with empty plans, low energy days, and starting over every Monday, this is for you. You'll learn how to take back control by using small daily actions that create real momentum. If you're serious about changing your life, not someday, but now, stay right here. This video will challenge you, call you out, and push you forward. That's what you came for. Chapter 1. Force action today. Even when you resist, people often ask why they know what to do but still do nothing. The answer is not lack of knowledge. It is resistance. Resistance is that quiet feeling in the body that says, stay where you are. Sit longer. Wait. Think more. Check again tomorrow. Resistance shows up as tiredness even when the body can still move. It shows up as doubt even when the plan is clear. It shows up as comfort even when comfort is costing you your future. This talk is about one thing only. Force action today even when you resist. Action is the starting point of every change. Not hope, not reading, not planning again. Action and not big action. Simple action. The kind that feels almost too small to matter. The problem is not that action is hard. The problem is that starting feels uncomfortable. The mind wants certainty. Life rewards movement. Every human feels resistance. Successful people are not special in that area. They feel the same pull to delay and avoid. The difference is they act anyway. They do not wait for a better mood. They do not wait for confidence to arrive. They do not wait for fear to leave. They move while fear is still present. They work while the mood is low. They act while the mind argues. When you wake up and you feel heavy, that is not a sign to stop. It is a signal. It is the signal that today matters. Days that feel easy do not build much strength. Days that feel heavy are shaping your future. If you only act on good days, then your life will stay small. If you act on hard days, your life begins to expand. Action is not about force in the body. It is about decision in the mind. A quiet, firm decision that says, I will move even if I do not feel like it. That decision does not require anger. It does not require excitement. It requires honesty. Honest people admit this truth. If I wait, I will lose the day. If I act, I may feel uncomfortable, but I will keep my self-respect. Every day that passes without action teaches the mind a dangerous lesson. It teaches that delay is safe. It teaches that comfort is acceptable. Over time, that lesson becomes a habit. Habits do not ask for permission. They take control. That is why forcing action today is not harsh. It is protective. You are protecting your future from slow damage. There is a feeling that comes after action, not before. After calm, relief, a quiet pride. Even if the result is small, even if the task was simple, the mind relaxes when it sees movement. Anxiety drops when effort begins. The body responds to motion. Sitting creates tension. Movement releases it. Many people say they need motivation. Motivation comes from progress. Progress comes from action. Waiting for motivation is backwards. Act first and the feeling follows. That is how humans are wired. You do not need to understand it deeply. You only need to test it. Act once when you resist and notice what happens inside. Start with something small enough that the mind cannot argue too long. Stand up. Open the notebook. Send the message. Walk for 5 minutes. Clean one surface. Begin one task. The goal is not to finish everything. The goal is to break resistance. Once resistance breaks, momentum starts to work for you. The hardest moment of the day is the first push. After that, the day becomes easier. The mind stops fighting when it sees you are serious. Discipline is not punishment. It is direction. It tells your life where it is going. Forcing action today also builds trust with yourself. Every time you act when you resist, you send a message inward. The message is clear: I can rely on myself. That trust becomes confidence. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet. It shows up when pressure arrives and you do not collapse. Do not wait for perfect plans. Perfect plans delay imperfect action. Action teaches faster than thinking. You learn while moving. You adjust while working. You grow while doing. The mind improves with use. Just like the body, there will be days you skip. That is human. What matters is how fast you return. Do not punish yourself. Return to action. Guilt wastes energy. Action restores it. One good decision today can repair a bad week. Time does not respond to intention. Time responds to behavior. You cannot negotiate with days. You can only use them or lose them. Each day asks one question. Did you act or did you avoid? That answer shapes your future more than talent ever will. Force action today does not mean force the whole future. It means take responsibility for this day, this hour, this moment. Life is built in short windows of effort. Miss enough windows and years disappear. Use enough windows and progress becomes visible. You do not need approval to act. You do not need permission to start. You do not need perfect conditions. You need honesty. Are you willing to feel discomfort now to avoid regret later? That is the real question behind all growth. People underestimate how powerful daily action is. Small effort, repeated changes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who talks. You start seeing yourself as someone who does. That shift changes choices without struggle. Action also clears mental noise. Overthinking feeds on stillness. When the body moves, the mind follows. Many problems feel smaller after effort. Many fears lose strength when faced with motion. Force action today even when you resist, because resistance never disappears on its own. It waits. It grows. It demands payment later in regret and lost confidence. Action weakens resistance. Each time you move, it loses control. The future is not built by dramatic moments. It is built by ordinary days handled well. Ordinary days require discipline, not drama, quiet effort, simple focus, honest work. You are not behind. You are simply paused. Press play. Begin where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can today. Tomorrow will respond to what you do now. Force action today because today is the only place power exists. Yesterday is memory. Tomorrow is imagination. Today is where effort lives. Act today and you reclaim control. That is the discipline. That is the strategy. That is the psychology. Act even when you resist, and the resistance will slowly lose its voice. Action day by day builds a life that feels solid and earned. Chapter 2. Push yourself to act every morning. Morning decides more than most people are willing to admit. Before the world speaks to you, the morning already sets the tone. How you act in those first moments quietly shapes your attitude, your focus, and your level of self-respect for the rest of the day. Pushing yourself to act every morning is not about waking up excited. It is about taking control before comfort takes it from you. Most lives are not ruined by one big mistake. They are slowly weakened by soft mornings. Mornings where the alarm rings and the body stays still. Mornings where the phone gets attention before purpose. Mornings where delay feels harmless. Those mornings train the mind to avoid effort. And what the mind practices it repeats. The morning is when discipline has the most power. Later in the day, the mind is tired. Decisions pile up. Energy gets spent on noise and people and problems. In the morning, the mind is clear. That is why action taken early feels harder but matters more. When you win the morning, you do not have to fight the rest of the day as much. Pushing yourself to act every morning starts with one honest agreement with yourself. No negotiations, no inner debates. Action comes first, feelings come later. You do not need to enjoy the start. You need to respect it. Respect shows up as movement. There is a moment right after waking when the body wants to stay still. That moment feels small, but it carries weight. If you stay still, you teach yourself that comfort decides. If you move, you teach yourself that you decide. That lesson carries into work, into relationships, into goals. Action in the morning does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be intentional. Stand up, make the bed, drink water, move your body, write one page, plan the day. Choose one thing that signals readiness. These simple acts tell the mind that the day has direction. Many people wait for motivation in the morning. Motivation is unreliable at that hour. The body is waking up. The mind is quiet. That is not the time to wait for feelings. That is the time to build rhythm. Rhythm replaces motivation. When action becomes routine, resistance has less room to speak. The mind will offer reasons to delay. Just 5 more minutes, just a quick check, just today. These reasons sound harmless. They are not. They steal momentum before it forms. Momentum is fragile early. Protect it with action. When you act early, you gain something valuable. You gain a sense of order. Order calms the nervous system. It reduces stress later. It sharpens focus. You feel ahead instead of chasing. That feeling changes how you speak, how you listen, how you respond. Morning action also builds confidence quietly. Not the loud kind, the steady kind. Confidence grows when promises to self are kept. Every morning action is a promise honored over time that builds trust. When challenges show up later, the mind remembers that you can rely on yourself. There is also clarity that comes with early effort. Problems that feel heavy at night often feel manageable after movement. The mind opens when the body engages. Sitting creates fog. Motion clears it. Push yourself in the morning because no one else will. The world will take from you all day. Your energy, your attention, your time. The morning is the only space that belongs fully to you. Protect it with purpose. Do not confuse pushing yourself with being harsh. This is not about punishment. It is about leadership. You are leading your own life. Leaders act before conditions are perfect. Leaders move before comfort agrees. Some mornings will feel slow. Some mornings will feel heavy. Those are the mornings that matter most. Easy mornings do not build strength. Difficult mornings shape character. Each time you act anyway, you grow a little more durable. Morning action also simplifies decision-making. When the day starts with effort, fewer choices feel overwhelming. You already proved movement is possible. The rest becomes continuation. Avoid starting the day with consumption. News feeds, messages, and noise pull attention outward. Action pulls it inward. Start by producing before consuming. Give effort before you give attention. Even a small morning routine becomes an anchor. It tells the body when the day begins. It tells the mind what matters. Over time, the routine becomes automatic. Automatic action reduces friction. Less friction means more consistency. Consistency is where progress lives, not in bursts, not in rare motivation, in steady effort repeated. Morning action makes consistency easier because it removes choice. You do not ask if you will act. You already decided. There is a reason disciplined people protect their mornings. They know the rest of the day will challenge them. They prepare early. They invest before they spend. Push yourself to act every morning because mornings shape identity. If you start the day passive, you carry that posture forward. If you start active, you walk differently through the day. You do not need to change everything at once. Start with one action you repeat daily. Let that be your foundation. Build from there. Growth respects patience. Over time, mornings become less about force and more about flow. What was once difficult becomes normal. What was once resisted becomes expected. That is how habits form. That is how lives change. Do not underestimate how much respect you gain for yourself when you act early. That respect shows up later when you need courage. It shows up when you need honesty. It shows up when quitting feels tempting. Morning action is a quiet declaration. It says this day matters. It says my future matters. It says I am willing to invest before reward. If you want a different life, start with different mornings. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. The morning does not care about your past. It only asks what you will do now. Push yourself to act every morning and the rest of your life will slowly adjust to match that standard. Chapter 3. Do something useful before checking phone. The first few minutes of your morning decide more than you think. They shape how you think, how you feel, and how you carry yourself for the rest of the day. And right now, for most people, those first few minutes are spent staring into a phone. That tiny screen is stealing your clarity, your drive, and your time before you even get a chance to show up for your life. The truth is simple and real. If you want to take back control, do something useful before checking your phone. What's useful? It doesn't have to be complicated. Useful means anything that builds you instead of drains you. Something that helps you grow. Not something that grabs your attention. That could be writing down what you need to do today. It could be getting in a short stretch or a workout. It could be journaling how you feel or reviewing your goals. Even 5 minutes of doing something that adds value to your life puts you in charge. When you wake up and reach straight for your phone, you hand your focus over to everyone else. Before your feet even hit the ground, you're reacting messages, news, opinions, distractions, they all enter your mind before your own thoughts do. That habit trains you to start the day on defense. Instead of thinking what matters to do today, your brain is flooded with what does everyone else want from me today. That shift seems small, but it has long-term consequences. It makes your day about response, not intention. Now, think about the opposite. Waking up, pausing, and doing something useful that changes everything. You start your day by making a choice. That choice says, my time matters. My attention matters. My life is mine to build. There's power in that. That power turns into progress. That progress becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes who you are. This isn't about blaming the phone. The phone is a tool. The issue is letting it use you instead of you using it. The issue is letting someone else decide what your first thoughts will be. And let's be real, most of what's on that screen isn't urgent. Most of it can wait. But your personal development can't. Your focus can't. Your mental clarity can't. If you want a better life, you have to treat the early moments of the day like they matter because they do. You don't need a huge morning routine. You need something simple that tells your brain we're in control. That could be making your bed right away. That could be drinking water and standing still in silence for a minute. That could be writing a sentence in your notebook. Just one sentence. The action itself isn't the secret. The secret is doing it before the noise of the world gets in. When you do something useful first, you change your mental state. You feel a sense of progress before the day even begins. And the human brain is wired to crave progress. When you start with it, you build momentum. You feel lighter. You feel ready. That momentum pushes you to take more action, to stay focused, to make better choices throughout the day. If you check your phone first, that momentum works in reverse. You open an app, you scroll, you lose time, you get distracted, you get emotionally pulled by something that wasn't part of your plan. Now it's harder to concentrate. Now you're in a rush. Now you've forgotten what you were going to do in the first place. That's not just an inconvenience, it's a drain on your potential. You've probably done both at some point. You've had mornings where you started with purpose. You've had mornings where you started with the screen. And you know deep down which one made you feel better, which one made you feel stronger, which one gave you clarity. The goal here is not perfection. You're not trying to live without your phone. You're trying to live above it. You're trying to show your brain that you own the day, not the other way around. This is also about building discipline. And discipline doesn't start with massive challenges. It starts with tiny choices that you repeat. Choosing not to check your phone right away is one of those small but powerful choices. It's hard at first. That's expected. Your brain is used to stimulation. Your habits are wired to reach for something familiar. But the more you replace that reaction with a conscious action, the easier it gets. The brain rewires, the pattern shifts, and before long it becomes normal. And when you do check your phone later after doing something useful, it feels different. You're not checking it out of habit. You're checking it with awareness. You're not reacting. You're deciding. That's the difference. That's what separates growth from distraction. When you take care of your priorities first, everything else becomes easier to manage. You don't feel like the day is slipping away from you. You feel like you're leading it. There's also an emotional side to this. When you check your phone first thing, your emotions get pulled in different directions. You see something that upsets you. You read something that worries you. You compare your life to someone else's. And now you're carrying that weight into a day that hasn't even started yet. That weight slows you down. You don't see it, but it's there. When you do something useful instead, your emotions stay stable. You're grounded. You're present. You're not already 10 steps ahead in a problem that's not yours. You're here. That presence helps you think clearly, speak calmly, and act with intention. And those qualities add up over time. They help you build better relationships. They help you stay focused on your goals. They help you feel more in control of your life. It might sound simple, but don't mistake simple for weak. The strongest habits often start with small acts of self-respect. And nothing says I respect myself more than choosing to spend your first few minutes doing something that matters. That could be organizing your desk, reviewing your goal, writing a message to someone you love, reading one paragraph from a book that inspires you, just one useful act, one win before the noise. You can start tomorrow or better. You can start today, the next time you feel your hand reaching for the phone. Pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me start the day strong? If the answer is no, put it down. Choose something useful instead. Then after you've acted with purpose, check your phone if you need to. But now you've already won the most important part of the day. Do something useful before checking your phone. And over time, you'll feel the shift. You'll think clearer. You'll feel stronger. You'll move through your day with more purpose. And you'll know exactly why. Because you made a simple but powerful decision, one that belongs to you and no one else. Chapter 4. Start tasks first and think later. People spend so much time getting ready to start that they never actually begin. They wait for clarity. They wait to feel sure. They wait until everything is perfect in their head. But in real life, nothing happens until you move. The thinking doesn't matter if you don't act on it. That's why the most powerful way to shift your life is to start the task first and think later. When a task sits on your mind, it begins to grow. It starts small, just something you need to do. But the longer you stare at it, the more intimidating it becomes. Your brain starts adding layers. What if it's hard? What if it's not the right time? What if I fail? The task doesn't change, but your mental image of it does. It turns into something bigger than it really is. That's what overthinking does. It distorts reality. Starting breaks that pattern. The moment you take even the smallest step, the pressure begins to drop. The task becomes real, not perfect, not finished, just real. You're no longer stuck in your head. You're engaged with something you can actually move forward. That alone puts you ahead of most people because most people stay stuck in the preparation loop forever. Action is the way out. Not analysis, not planning another system, not rethinking your decision, just doing the first real step, no matter how small. You don't need a fully thought out path. You need a doorway, and that doorway is called starting. This applies to everything. Want to write something? Open the page and type the first line. Want to clean your room? Pick one item off the floor and put it away. Want to apply for something? Click the first link and start filling the form. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to know how the whole thing ends. You just need to begin. The mistake most people make is assuming they need motivation to act. But the truth is, action comes first. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Your brain responds to progress. It doesn't reward waiting. The good feeling you're looking for shows up after the task begins, not before. And here's the thing, thinking too much before starting is often fear in disguise. You tell yourself you're being thoughtful or careful, but deep down you're just trying to avoid that it's decking. You don't want to feel awkward or slow or but growth only happens when you're willing to be uncomfortable. If you train yourself to start anyway, even when you're unsure, you unlock something powerful. You realize you don't need to feel certain to take a step. You realize action can come from decision, not emotion. That shift is everything. That shift changes how you face challenges, how you pursue goals, and how you trust yourself. The people who make things happen in life are not the ones who feel confident. They're the ones who move before they feel confident. They learn as they go. They adjust along the way. They don't waste time waiting for the perfect time because they know it never comes. Your energy in the morning or the start of a task is limited. If you burn that energy thinking about starting instead of just starting, you waste your best fuel. Don't use your energy on planning what to do. Use it on doing. You'll think clearer once you've moved. You'll plan better once you've seen what it really takes. But none of that happens if you don't act first. This idea doesn't mean you rush blindly. It means you trust yourself to figure things out while in motion. That's where the best insights come from. Not before the work, inside the work. While your hands are doing it, while your mind is engaged, that's when the real clarity shows up. The fastest way to reduce anxiety is to begin. The fastest way to learn is to do. The fastest way to feel proud is to act, not to rehearse the same thoughts again and again, hoping they'll finally push you forward. Thoughts alone don't build confidence, only action does. A useful trick is to lower the size of what starting means. Instead of saying, "I'll write a whole page," say, "I'll write one sentence." Instead of, "I'll go to the gym for an hour," say, "I'll put on my shoes and walk for 5 minutes." Why? Because your brain can't argue as much with small actions once you begin. Continuing becomes easier. Momentum beats resistance every time. Don't overthink how to be productive. Don't get stuck on creating the perfect system or reading another book about habits. Productivity starts with motion. One real step, then another. Start now. Learn while doing. If you mess up, that's fine. You're still further ahead than you were. Perfectionism is just another form of fear. It tells you to wait until the conditions are better. But the people who grow are the ones who get messy, make mistakes, and keep showing up. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stop sitting still when you're stuck. Remember this. You don't have to feel good to start. You don't have to feel clear. You just have to move. Give yourself permission to begin badly. Give yourself permission to try. Don't let your brain convince you that thinking is doing. It's not. You could think for hours and get nowhere. Or you could take one action and change the whole day. This mindset also builds trust with yourself. When you start something instead of putting it off, you teach your brain that you're someone who follows through. That trust becomes powerful over time. It makes the next task easier. It makes you more confident in every area of life. Not because of the result, but because of your consistency. You'll start to feel better. Not because everything is done, but because you're not avoiding anymore. Avoidance creates stress. Action creates peace. Your brain wants relief. Give it something to focus on. Let it see you doing the work. That's when things start to shift. You have goals. You have ideas, but none of them mean anything without action. Don't let another hour go by where you think instead of move the task won't do itself. Start now, no matter how messy it feels. Let your hands move before your doubts grow louder. Once you understand this, you never have to wait again. You don't wait for perfect condition. You don't wait for confidence. You don't wait for the right mindset. You lead your day by action. You lead your goals by effort, and you let the results come from what you earn, not what you imagine. Start tasks first and think later, because the thinking will be clearer once the doing has begun and once you train yourself to live that way. Progress becomes a part of who you are. Chapter 5. Finish small actions before ending day. The end of the day is when most people relax, slow down, and let go of what they didn't get done. That might feel harmless, even normal. But there's a quiet cost to it. Leaving small actions unfinished at the end of the day doesn't just create a longer to-do list tomorrow. It creates mental clutter, emotional heaviness, and a pattern of postponement that gets harder to break. That's why one of the most powerful habits you can build is to finish small actions before the day ends. These are not big things, not the major goals or complicated plans. This is about the tasks you promised yourself you'd do today. The ones that would take 5 or 10 minutes, the ones you thought about earlier, told yourself you'd get to, and then quietly pushed aside. These unfinished actions pile up. They may look small, but they weigh a lot, especially when left behind every night. The human mind keeps score even when you try to forget. When you end the day with things left hanging, there's a part of you that feels it. You go to bed knowing you avoided something. You wake up with it still there. And that buildup turns into resistance. It makes tomorrow heavier before it even starts. But when you close the day by finishing even just 1 or 2 useful things, you give yourself a sense of progress. You sleep with clarity. You wake up lighter. This is not about perfection. This is about training your mind to follow through. It's about teaching yourself that you keep your word even when the task is small, especially when it's small. Because those tiny actions are where discipline is formed. Big wins come later. Self-respect is built now when you choose to finish instead of leave things open. Start by identifying just 2 or 3 things that matter. Not everything. Not every possible detail. Just the ones that move you forward, that you'd feel proud to complete. Maybe it's replying to 1 email. Maybe it's putting away your clothes. Maybe it's drinking water or reviewing your goals or writing down what worked today. These tasks don't take much time, but finishing them creates emotional momentum. You know the feeling when you put off something simple for days, a message, a call, a task that takes 5 minutes but hangs over you like a cloud. It's not the task that's stressful. It's the avoidance. Avoidance steals energy. Completion gives it back. You get to decide what your mind carries into the night. Most people think the day ends when they stop working. But in reality, the day ends when your mind feels settled. And your mind feels settled when you've closed the open loops. That means taking 5 to 10 minutes each night to wrap up loose ends. It's not much, but it changes how you feel when your head hits the pillow. This habit also helps you develop sharper focus. You start to see that everything matters, not in a stressful way but in a purposeful way. The little things are not just chores. They're agreements. When you keep them, you build identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who finishes, not someone who forgets. And when tomorrow comes, your brain doesn't need to fight through yesterday's leftovers. It starts fresh, clear light. That alone gives you a huge advantage over the version of you that keeps carrying unfinished work forward day after day. It also builds personal pride. Quiet pride, not the kind you announce to others, but the kind that strengthens you from the inside. You know you're showing up. You know you're not avoiding. You know you're making the most of the time you have. That kind of self-connection changes the way you walk through the world. This practice can be done in a few short steps. Start by asking yourself at the end of the day, what small thing did I say I would do? Then do it. No drama, no delay. Just take care of it. If it takes 3 minutes, perfect. If it takes 10, even better. You don't need to love the task. You just need to close it. Sometimes people say they're too tired to finish things at night. But often it's not physical tiredness, it's emotional resistance. You've spent all day making choices and now you want to escape. But those last few choices matter just as much as the first ones, especially if they help you feel calm and ready for tomorrow. You can build this into a routine. Set a reminder. Choose a consistent time. Make it part of how you close your day. It could be right after dinner or just before you brush your teeth. Whatever fits. The key is not the time. It's the intention. The act of finishing, of taking one more step, of choosing to honor what you started. If you skip a day, don't judge yourself. That's not what this is about. But notice how it feels. Notice what your mind does when you leave things undone. Then compare it to the feeling of wrapping up the day with clarity and follow through. That contrast will teach you more than any advice. This habit also makes you more emotionally stable. When you close the day with action, you stop carrying guilt and mental noise into sleep. That means better rest, more energy, and a stronger sense of direction. You wake up already ahead because you didn't leave yourself behind last night. This doesn't mean turning every evening into a checklist. It means giving yourself the gift of completion. Because when you finish what you start, no matter how small, you send a message to your mind: we're not avoiding anymore. We're not running. We're not letting laziness win. We're here, we're aware, and we're in charge. There's also peace in this process. A quiet peace that doesn't come from watching a show or scrolling your phone. That's distraction, not peace. Real peace comes from knowing you acted. You followed through. You didn't let the day slip away. That peace is earned, not given. And that's the lesson. Finish small actions before ending the day. Not because they're urgent, but because they're yours. They belong to you. They are the proof that you're not just thinking about improving your life. You're doing it one task at a time. One night at a time. No rush, no pressure, just steady forward movement that builds a stronger you. Chapter 6. Repeat action daily without waiting. Motivation. Motivation is a feeling. It's unpredictable. Some days you have it, most days you don't. It comes and goes without warning. And that's the problem. If you rely on motivation to act, you're giving power to something you can't control. You're handing over the direction of your life to a feeling that's never promised. That's why progress belongs to the person who acts every day no matter how they feel. Repeating action daily without waiting for motivation is not about being robotic or emotionless. It's about making a clear choice. A choice to stop living based on moods. A choice to show up because something matters, not just because you feel like it in the moment. It's about deciding that your future deserves more than your excuses. You don't need to feel ready to do what matters. You need to do it because it matters. That's the shift that changes everything. Most people wait for the right energy, the right emotion, the right level of inspiration. But people who build real change understand something different. They know the energy comes after the action, not before it. If you want to build something meaningful, your health, your career, your mindset, your skills, you have to repeat action, not once a week. Not only when it's fun, every single day. Even when you're tired, even when it's boring, even when there's no motivation in sight. That's when it counts the most, because that's when you're becoming the type of person who doesn't quit. Consistency is a quiet form of power. It doesn't look exciting. No one claps for you when you follow through on a boring task, but that consistency adds up. It creates momentum. It creates results. It creates a new version of you. Someone who does what they said they would, even when it's hard. You don't get stronger by thinking about doing hard things. You get stronger by doing them when it's hard. That's where the real transformation happens. Not on the days you feel amazing, but on the days you'd rather quit. Because those days are the ones that define your character. Motivation makes everything easier, but it's not dependable. What is dependable is the system you build, the habit you repeat, the standard you refuse to lower. Those things keep you moving forward when your feelings try to slow you down. And feelings will always try to slow you down. That's human nature, but you don't have to obey them. Start small if you need to. You don't have to do something huge every day, but do something that moves you in the right direction. One page, one rep, one message, one simple task that proves to yourself you're in control. You'd be amazed how far that kind of discipline can take you. People who wait for motivation often start strong and stop early. They burn out quickly because they never learned how to act without the emotional boost. But people who repeat action daily build something different. They build mental toughness. They learn how to keep going even when it's boring or painful or slow. And that's where real success lives, in the quiet repetition of uncomfortable work. You might think it's about willpower, but it's not. It's about decision. You can train yourself to act no matter what. Not because you're perfect, not because you always feel good, but because you're vivid to do what matters. Even when the feeling isn't there. That decision starts in the smallest moments. When the alarm goes off, when the workout feels heavy, when the project gets hard. Those are the moments where most people fold. They tell themselves they'll do it later. But later becomes never, and eventually regret shows up louder than motivation ever did. But when you push through those moments, when you show up anyway, you start to see something important. You don't need to be in the mood. You just need to move. You start to feel proud of yourself. Not for feeling good, but for staying committed. That kind of pride lasts longer than any moment of motivation ever could. You might still want motivation. That's fine. It feels good. But you don't wait for it. You move without it, and you let it catch up later. You let your emotions follow your decisions, not let them. That's how strong people live. That's how consistent people win. You don't need to force massive effort every day. What matters is the rhythm, the practice of doing the work regardless of the weather inside your mind. You can feel off. You can feel flat. You can feel tired, but you can still move forward. You can still do something that keeps the fire alive. And that's what separates the talkers from the doer. The talkers want to feel perfect before they act. The doers act while they feel messy. They're not looking for a mood. They're focused on progress. And every time they act, they get stronger. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally. That strength spreads into every part of their life. You have to build your own rhythm, your own pace, your own reason for showing up, not someone else's voice, not social pressure, not quick inspiration from a video, something deeper, a reason that holds you steady when the surface level feelings fade away. Because life will test you. It will throw off your routine. It will give you days where nothing feels right. And that's when this principle will save you. Repeat action daily without waiting for motivation. Because when motivation disappears, your habits keep you moving. When everything feels off, your discipline holds the line. And when you live this way long enough, something shifts. The habits that once felt hard become part of who you are. You don't have to fight yourself anymore. You act because that's what you do. Not because you feel inspired, but because you've built the muscle of commitment. You don't need more motivation. You need more follow-through, more simple decisions made daily, more proof to yourself that you won't back down just because you don't feel like it. That's what creates confidence, not hype, not energy, just quiet, honest repetition. Your future doesn't care how you feel today. It only cares what you do. So do something, even if it's small, even if it's slow, even if it's imperfect. Repeat that tomorrow and the next day and the next. Not because you're in the mood, but because you're in control. That's the life you build when you stop waiting and start doing every single day. Chapter 7. Choose action over comfort each single day. Most people choose comfort because it's easy. It feels safe. It feels familiar. Waking up and staying under the covers. Avoiding the tough conversation. Skipping the workout. Putting off the work. These are small choices, but they carry long-term consequences. You don't feel them right away, but over time they build a version of your life that's stuck, soft, and full of regret. That's why you must choose action over comfort each single day. Not once in a while. Not only when you feel strong, but every day without exception. Choosing action is not about always doing more. It's about doing what you said you would. It's about doing what matters, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's the moment where growth starts. Not in the easy choices, in the hard ones. The moments where your mind says, take a break, and you answer back, not yet. Every single day you are shaping who you're becoming. Not with big moves, with daily choices. And most of those choices are between action and comfort. Comfort feels better right now. Action feels better long term. You either satisfy the moment or serve your future. You can't do both. That's the cost of progress. And you have to decide it's worth it. Comfort isn't bad, it's not evil, but it becomes dangerous when it's the default. Because when you choose it too often, it starts controlling you. You get used to backing down. You get used to easing off. Then you start telling yourself stories like, I'll do it later. It's not that urgent, or I just need a break. Those stories are soft lies, and they steal years from people who could have done more. Action demands effort, not talent, not perfection, just effort. Showing up, pushing forward, even when you're tired, even when the results aren't immediate, even when nobody's watching. That's where character is built. That's where self-trust is formed. You don't trust yourself because of how good you feel. You trust yourself because of how often you follow through when it's uncomfortable. When you make a habit of choosing action, you build an identity. You stop saying I hope I'll follow through and start saying this is who I am. That identity is more powerful than motivation. It carries you when everything else feels weak. When your mood is off, when the day is heavy, when the work is boring, identity wins. When willpower fades, the great thing that this mindset is, you don't have to win the whole day. You just have to win the moment. The moment where comfort tempts you and you lean into discomfort instead. That moment could be 5 seconds long. But it's everything. It's the difference between stepping up or stepping back. You stack enough of those moments and you change how you live. Action doesn't mean burnout. It means honesty. It means asking yourself, am I avoiding this because I'm truly exhausted, or because I'm chasing comfort again? Most of the time it's comfort. And when you call it out, you get your power back. You stop playing small. You stop waiting for life to feel easy. You start doing what builds strength. You don't need to hate comfort to grow. But you do need to value progress more. That means making decisions that stretch you. Decisions that challenge you. Decisions that don't feel good right away, but will feel great after you finish. That's the reward, not comfort, completion, progress, growth. Knowing you did what most people don't. Comfort tells you to hit snooze. Action tells you to get up. Comfort says you've done enough. Action says you still have more to give. Comfort says tomorrow. Action says now. Comfort keeps you still. Action moves your life forward. And here's the truth. No matter how small the task is, choosing action will always build something that comfort never can. Momentum. And momentum is powerful. When you act even in a small way, you feel different. Your head clears. Your energy lifts. You get sharper. You feel in control. You feel like someone who can handle what's in front of you. And that feeling starts a chain reaction. You make better choices. You work harder. You speak with more certainty. All because you acted when comfort said stop. This is how great lives are built. Not with giant leaps. With simple, clear actions repeated every day, especially when they're uncomfortable. The person who chooses action today will be stronger next week. The one who picks comfort again and again will wonder why nothing changes. And change doesn't need to be dramatic. It starts with pushing through one resistance point per day. That moment when you don't feel like doing something, but you do it anyway. That single moment makes you stronger than most people who are still waiting for the right mood to start. If you do this every day, even for just a few minutes, your entire mindset begins to shift. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, is this important? That question leads to better decisions because important things rarely feel easy, but they always lead to something better. There will always be a reason to choose comfort. There will always be something softer, easier, less risky. But comfort doesn't build anything. It doesn't move you. It doesn't improve you. It just keeps you exactly where you are while time keeps moving forward. Choosing action isn't always exciting, but it is meaningful. It's how you earn your own respect. It's how you create results instead of waiting for them. It's how you stop wishing and start working. Every time you choose to act, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. The small decisions matter because they add up. You skip one workout, it seems small. You skip 5, you lose momentum. You avoid one hard task, it's nothing. You avoid it for a month and it turns into anxiety. It's not the one choice that changes everything. It's the pattern. And the pattern starts with today. So today, choose action. Not once. Every time it counts. When it's hard, when it's cold, when you're tired, when comfort says you've done enough, that's when action has the most power. Not because it feels great in the moment, but because of what it builds inside you. You don't have to be extreme, just consistent, just honest, just willing to say, this matters more than comfort. You live by that standard long enough, and you'll look back and realize you didn't just get more done. You became someone who's proud of the way they show up. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. Chapter 8. Act immediately when you feel hesitation. Hesitation is a signal. It shows up in small moments. Right before you speak, right before you move, right before you make a decision you've already thought about. It's not loud. It's quiet, subtle, just enough to make you pause. That pause seems harmless, but what happens next decides everything. You either act or you let hesitation grow. And the longer you let it grow, the more it takes from you. That's why the strongest choice you can make is to act immediately. When you feel hesitation, the longer you sit in hesitation, the heavier it gets. It becomes doubt, then fear, then a list of reasons not to move. But it didn't start there. It started with a moment, a quick thought, a tiny delay. That's all it takes to let hesitation take over. If you learn to catch that moment and act inside it, you take away its power. People assume hesitation means something is wrong, that maybe it's not the right time or they're not ready or they need to think more, but in most cases, hesitation just means discomfort. It means you're about to do something that challenges you, that stretches you, and your mind wants to pull back. Not because it's wrong, but because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Growth doesn't wait for certainty. It waits for movement. You don't become ready by thinking, you become ready by doing. That's why action is the antidote to hesitation. It breaks the loop. It stops the spiral. It replaces the question of should I with the power of I just did. Every time you hesitate, you're standing at a fork in the road. One direction leads to regret. The other leads to progress, and you choose with what you do next, not what you feel, what you do. Hesitation will always be there. But it's your response that matters. Will you act or will you wait and let the moment pass? It could be something small. Getting out of bed when you don't feel like it. Making the call you've been putting off. Saying what needs to be said, sending the message. Starting the work. All of these are real decisions. And in every one of them, hesitation will try to steal time from you. It will try to keep you safe. But safe doesn't lead to growth. Only movement does. This doesn't mean rushing into everything recklessly. It means trusting your original intent. You already knew what needed to be done. The hesitation didn't bring new wisdom. It brought fear. And fear grows in silence. Action is what breaks that silence and reminds you of your strength. When you act right after hesitation shows up, something powerful happens. You begin to rewire your response. You train yourself to recognize that pause and lean into it instead of away from it. Over time, you stop freezing. You stop doubting. You just move. And every time you do, you build a new identity, one that's rooted in courage, not comfort. Most people wait too long. They let the moment pass. Then they spend the rest of the day thinking about what they didn't do. That creates a loop of frustration. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they didn't act when it mattered. You can avoid that loop by shortening the gap between hesitation and action. You don't need to feel brave to act. You just need to act before the fear grows stronger. That's what discipline is. Choosing what's right over what's comfortable, especially when it's hard, especially when it's scary. And the longer you live by that standard, the more fearless you become. Not because fear disappears, but because you stop giving it control. Every time you feel hesitation, you're being handed an opportunity to take your power back. That power doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment. It comes from taking the moment you have and doing something with it. Even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. Action beats hesitation. Always start with small decisions. When you notice yourself pausing, count down 3, 2, 1 and move. Open the laptop. Start the call. Say the words. Do the representative. Press. Send. Take the first step. That's all you need. The first step. The next one comes easier, but you have to earn it by doing the first. The best people in any field are not the ones who feel the most confident. They're the ones who move the fastest. When they feel doubt, they don't give hesitation a chance to talk them out of something. They act, then they adjust, then they grow. That's the formula. It's not complex. It's just uncommon. You already know the areas where hesitation shows up most. It's not random. It's the same tasks, the same fears, the same situations. Start paying attention. Catch it in real time. The pause before asking for something. The pause before making a choice. The pause before starting. That pause is your moment. Own it. Don't wait. Move. This habit changes how you see yourself. When you stop hesitating, you stop second-guessing everything. You feel lighter, clearer, stronger, because you're not stuck in internal battles anymore. You're living in the real world. You're doing things that matter. And that kind of momentum changes everything. Your future isn't shaped by what you think about doing. It's shaped by what you act on. You could spend hours thinking about one step, or you could take it in 5 seconds and learn more than thinking ever could teach you. The world rewards movement. The results come from effort, not planning alone. And this doesn't mean you'll never feel hesitation again. You will. It's part of being human. But it won't own you anymore. You'll recognize it and you'll respond with action. That response becomes your edge. While others pause, you move. While others delay, you progress. That difference adds up faster than you think. The more you act inside the moment of hesitation, the less power it has over you. And the more consistent your action becomes, the more confident you feel. Not because you forced confidence, but because you earned it. Every time you act, when it's hard, you grow. Every time you move, when it's uncomfortable, you build strength. Not just physical strength, mental, emotional, internal strength. Start now. Don't wait for the feeling to pass. Use it as your cue. Let hesitation be the signal that it's time to act. Let it trigger movement, not delay. Make that your new rule. If I feel hesitation, I move. No waiting, no negotiating, no excuses, just action. That's how you build a life that's not controlled by fear. That's how you take back time, confidence, and control. Not later, not eventually, right now, in this moment, in the small decisions, in the seconds that matter most. Because when hesitation shows up, your next move defines your life. And if you want growth, the only move is forward. Chapter 9. Force progress daily through simple actions. Progress doesn't come from huge breakthroughs once in a while. It comes from what you do every single day. Not from luck, not from waiting, not from hoping things will change, but from waking up and making a decision to move forward, even just a little, through clear, simple, honest action. That's how real change happens. That's how you force progress. Not once a year, but daily. You don't wait for the right moment. You make the moment right by acting inside it. Most people overcomplicate progress. They think it has to be flashy or impressive. But the truth is, the most effective progress is usually invisible to others. It's the 10 quiet minutes spent practicing when no one's watching. It's the effort to get something done even when you're tired. It's the decision to stay focused when distraction would be easier. These are not dramatic moves, but they are powerful. They build something solid over time. You force progress when you stop waiting for ideal conditions. You move when it's inconvenient. You show up when it's uncomfortable. You choose to do one more rep, send one more message, complete one more task, no matter how small, because you understand that forward is forward and it all adds up. A day where you take a small step is always better than a day where you think about taking a big one and do nothing. What slows most people down isn't lack of talent, it's lack of consistency. They work hard for 2 days and disappear for 10. They sprint, then stall. They only move when it feels easy, and then they wonder why nothing changes. You don't get stronger by effort once in a while. You get stronger by effort repeated. Not perfect effort, just real daily deliberate action. Start with what's right in front of you. Pick something that matters and work on it every single day. Even when it's 5 minutes, even when it feels small, because once you start, you prove to yourself that effort is always available. You stop saying, "I'll do more when I feel ready," and start saying, "I'll make progress right now." You don't need to finish everything today, but you need to touch it. Progress happens when you stay close to your goals. When you revisit them daily. When you refuse to let them sit untouched for weeks, just one clear step every single day. You don't break down mountains. You take pieces of it every morning until you've cleared the path. This daily action is what builds discipline. You show yourself that you can act even without pressure, even without someone pushing you, even without motivation. That's a powerful skill because if you only work when you feel like it, your results will be unstable. But when you work daily, no matter how you feel, your growth becomes guaranteed. Think of the simple actions that move your life forward. Reading for 15 minutes, sending one email, planning your day on paper, drinking water, practicing a skill, finishing one task before checking your phone. These are not huge, but they are progress. And most importantly, they are in your control. You don't have to take on everything at once. Just identify a few key actions that you will repeat every day without question, no drama, no overthinking, just execution. When you make those actions non-negotiable, you build momentum. That momentum makes everything else easier. You feel like you're in motion and the mind responds to movement. It's not about doing what's impressive. It's about doing what's necessary. Progress is earned by those who stop talking about change and start living in a way that proves they want it. Daily proof. Daily effort, even when it's boring. Especially when it's boring. That's where real results begin to show. You also learn faster when you act daily. Each time you do the task again, you understand it better. You get sharper. You get more efficient. You don't have to read 10 more books to get better. You have to show up and do the thing more often. That kind of practice is what separates people who grow from those who just study growth. When you finish a day knowing you made even 1% of progress, you walk into the next one with more confidence. That confidence builds belief. And belief is a powerful tool because when you believe in your own effort, you don't need constant external validation, you trust yourself. That trust comes from what you do daily, not what you wish would happen someday. You don't need a perfect routine to make this work. You need a real one you'll actually follow, one that fits your life, one that says, "These are the actions I complete every day no matter what." And then you do them. You don't try. You don't decide later. You just execute. That's how you build momentum that lasts. You create standards. You follow through. You adjust when needed, but you never stop. Skipping one day is a test. Skipping 5 becomes a habit. So don't let the chain break. Stay consistent, even if it means doing a smaller version of the action. Consistency matters more than intensity. You can't get intense results without being consistent first. And yes, some days will feel slower. Some days you won't feel proud of what you did. But that's not the point. The point is you did something. You forced movement. You didn't let the day disappear without creating value. That effort, even when weak, counts more than waiting to feel strong. You are always one small action away from momentum. Never forget that you could be one task away from shifting your mood, one message away from opportunity, one tiny step away from regaining focus, but you'll never know if you don't do the thing. So commit to forcing progress daily, not once in a while, not when you feel pumped every single day. Through action that feels doable, through tasks you can measure, through behavior you can repeat. Keep it simple, keep it consistent. Let your results come from repetition, not occasional bursts. And when you finish the day, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, did I move forward today? If the answer is yes, even by a little, then you're on track. If the answer is no, then make sure tomorrow starts with action. Because what you repeat becomes who you are. And when you repeat simple action daily, you don't just make progress. You become someone who refuses to settle. Someone who builds their life on effort, not emotion. And that kind of person always moves forward, no matter how slow the day feels. Chapter 10. Commit to daily action no matter what. There's a moment in every day where you face a decision. It doesn't always look dramatic. It could be quiet, simple, quick. You know what needs to be done. You know the action you promised yourself you'd take, and you also feel the pull to skip it, to rest a little longer, to push it to tomorrow. That's where the truth shows up. That's where discipline is born. In that moment, you either take the action or you don't. That's why this matters. Commit to daily action no matter what. Not just when you feel like it. Not just when it's convenient. Every single day, no matter the mood, the weather, the distractions, or the excuses. You will never build something lasting by acting occasionally. Progress doesn't come from bursts of effort followed by long gaps. It comes from doing the thing when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's repetitive, when it's the last thing you want to do. That's when it counts. That's when it shapes who you are. Daily action is the difference between people who talk and people who grow. It's not about big moves. It's about staying consistent when nothing around you is pushing you to keep going. Most of the world will tell you to take it easy, to slow down, to be realistic. That's their standard, not yours. You're not here to coast. You're here to build. You're here to change. And that requires doing something that matters every single day. Even when everything around you suggests otherwise. There will be days you feel off. Days when motivation disappears. Days when your energy is low or your thoughts are scattered. But none of that stops you unless you let it. You don't need to feel 100% to give effort. You don't need the perfect mindset to move forward. You just need to act. The action doesn't have to be flawless. It just needs to happen. And that's the secret most people miss. The power is in the doing, not in the talking, not in the planning, not in waiting for inspiration to strike. You earn progress by doing the work when no one's clapping. You earn self-respect by choosing to show up instead of checking out. And that choice, you get it every day. No one can take it from you. You either use it or you don't. You don't need to make it complicated. You just need a set of non-negotiables, clear actions you commit to every day, no matter what. A routine you don't abandon just because the day didn't go your way. Even if it's just 15 minutes of focus, one task moved forward, one decision made, one step taken. The point isn't perfection, it's consistency. The daily effort is what creates real results. Look back at any real achievement, any life you admire, and you'll see a pattern. It wasn't built in huge moments. It was built in the quiet, steady days of doing what needed to be done. While others stopped, they kept going. While others got distracted, they stayed locked in. That's what separates strong from average. Not talent, not luck. Repetition. If you only act when you feel like it, you will never get far. Feelings are unreliable, circumstances change, but commitment, that's the anchor. It doesn't bend when the mood shifts. It doesn't disappear when things get inconvenient. It holds firm, and if you build your life around that kind of commitment, you become someone unstoppable. You also teach your mind something powerful when you commit daily. You teach it that effort is not optional. You teach it that excuses don't win, that you don't back down when it's uncomfortable, and that lesson stays with you. It helps you when life gets harder. It sharpens your focus. It gives you pride, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that says, I do what I said I'd do. You won't always feel proud in the moment. Some days the action will feel slow, awkward or incomplete. That's okay. The point is that you did it. And even on your worst day, doing something keeps the streak alive. You protect the habit. You protect the rhythm. And the rhythm matters more than the size of the step. This mindset changes your relationship with pressure. You stop waiting for the perfect window. You stop letting chaos outside decide your discipline inside. You become the kind of person who shows up anyway, who doesn't flinch at difficulty, who trusts the process because you've lived it day after day, action after action. It doesn't mean you never rest. It means rest doesn't replace progress. It means you rest strategically, not as an excuse to stop, but as a way to keep going stronger. You're not avoiding discomfort, you're using it. You're building something real, and real things take daily effort. Some days will feel quiet. You won't always see results right away, but daily action is a seed. And seeds don't bloom the moment they're planted. They grow in silence, under pressure. Over time, every drop of effort you give is watering something. Something that eventually breaks through. Something that becomes visible, but only if you keep showing up long enough to see it. If you miss a day, don't spiral. Don't quit. Get back to it. That's what commitment looks like. It's not about being perfect. It's about returning fast. On-off day doesn't destroy the process. Quitting does. So, don't quit. Show up again. Recommit. Every day is a fresh chance to prove you're still in this. You will get stronger. Not just physically or mentally, but emotionally. You'll trust yourself more. You'll speak with more certainty. You'll move with more confidence. Not because everything is easy, but because you've built a habit of doing what's necessary, not just what's comfortable. At the end of each day, ask yourself one simple question. Did I act today? Did I do something that moves me forward? Even if it was small, if the answer is yes, you won. If the answer is no, fix it before the day ends. Don't carry regret into tomorrow. Carry momentum. There's no magic, no secret, just daily action. Show up, do the work, keep the promise. That's how you become someone who doesn't talk about change, but lives it every single day, no matter